super comfortable.
They are. They are very comfortable. We're officially live, so
Oh,
this is nice.
hi everyone. How you doing?
We're live. Oh
Oh
wow, I hear an echo a little bit.
yeah, I pulled it up on my end so I could watch it, but I couldn't mute it until it actually came up. So
Oh right.
I
Okay.
muted it. So we're good.
Well, hello everybody. Thanks for joining us now and in the future. I am your host, Amanda Ross, aka Amanda the author, and thanks for tuning in. I'm joined by my good sis, Chelsea, aka CM Lockhart. How you doing, Chelsea?
I am doing pretty good, Amanda. How are you? I feel like a news anchor right now.
In
But
today's weather,
at today's news,
uh,
back to you, Amanda.
all right. Nah. I'm good. Just taking it easy. Trying a new BB cream for my birthday. I think it's good. It's Clinique.
That looks cute.
She's looking sheer. She's looking dewy.
Glowy. Yeah.
So we love to see it. How about you? You've got something new, which is this beautiful green hair here.
Yes. It was a very much needed change. So I'm happy with it. I like it. And I need to go back and brush it, but it is what it is. I like it though. I'm really, really happy with it. So,
Hey, cool gamer. Thanks for tuning in.
hello,
Yeah,
hello.
it looks good. And this is part kind of on the line of what we're talking about today, building each other up. Because today's
Absolutely.
topic is the importance of having an author community. What about your author friends, right? Will they stand around? Will they let you down?
Well, they let you act crazy on these interwebs when really you should take several seats and calm down.
Will they help you not fumble your bag?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Um, so the reason why I wanted to bring this topic up is for a couple of reasons. So, firstly, there kind of always is author drama, right?
Hmm.
Don't go a month without it. You would think that for people who are supposed to be creating worlds and enjoy being solitary, we would mind our own business, but
You would think, but
sadly that's not the case. So, in light of the drama with author Tara Tara
Tara, I
Stringfellow,
think, yeah.
Tara Stringfellow, countless other authors who have fumbled the bag, just responding to readers, coming out of pocket, saying that people obviously don't understand their art, and also the tremendously biphobic discourse on Twitter now that we are in Pride Month. I thought it was important to talk about why you need community, why you need a good group chat to stop you from being foolish.
Truly, because some of the things that I feel like is underrated is having people who understand what you're going through and can understand that like you're in your feelings and that's okay, but there's a time and a place to be in your feelings, and on the internet for the public at large to be a part of is not that place, you know?
Right.
So it's just kind of like you said, a group chat, truly. And your group chat could literally be three people to one other person, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But just someone who's going to be like, okay. And I think the other thing that it's underrated, that it's underrated for authors, is not realizing when you're in your feelings versus something has actually been done wrong to you, because those are
Right.
two completely different things, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like in this current age, there are a lot of people out here being in their feelings and reacting to things off of their feelings and not objectively. Like,
Mm-hmm.
especially with this whole thing with Tara and Stringfellow. Not going to go into it because the booktuber or bookstagram or book reviewer, whatever you want to call her, who was involved, she put out her own video about it,
Right.
talking about it. I think it's chocolate covered pages, and I think it's still up on
Mm-hmm.
YouTube if anybody's interested in watching it. So if you want to know what we're talking about in detail, you can check out her video because she posted verbatim exactly what happened. But
Mm-hmm.
it's just kind of like that whole situation should have never happened. And I don't think it would have happened if Tara actually had an author community, you know, or paid
Yeah.
attention to the book community, because just like while she was exceptionally wrong on all levels, she's also not the first author to do something crazy like this. And it's just kind
Right.
of like, I don't know. Some people don't have siblings who they had to learn from growing up, and it shows. you know?
Listen, I feel you because I got 5 of them, and, there's a lot of things I didn't do because I watched them fumble and stumble and bump
Exactly.
their heads and whatnot. Um, yeah, I think it's just anytime an author responds out of pocket to a reader, anytime an author, talks about how their book is a 5-star book when maybe somebody gave them 4.5 stars. That was a thing that happened last year. uh, it makes me think, do you not have people that you can talk to about your feelings first? Because for me, and we've all been there. We've had people, like, I've had people leave 1-star reviews of my book. I've had people say that they will never read my book again. And as an author, you have to kind of deal with that you're going to
Mhm.
have people that just aren't going to vibe with what you're putting out there. And you're also, as a human, are going to feel a way about it. And that's normal. Both things are normal.
Mhm.
But instead of taking to the interwebs and tweeting about it, Instagramming about it, and even though, you might put it in your stories, people are quick to take a screenshot. Even though you might
Exactly.
delete it, people are quick to screenshot your tweets.
And
Go
I
to
guess
your group chat.
talk to your group chat, and also it's just like for me it's like, what is the purpose of you publicly reacting in a negative way to someone reviewing it? Because in the midst of all this, and if y'all are watching this, I would love to know y'all's opinion on this about how authors reacting publicly to reviewers in general and your
Hmm.
take on it. But specifically with what happened with chocolate covered pages, it's like she touched on the fact that she is that it's art, right? Because in her video, she was made aware that this was not the first time that Tara has gotten out of pocket with a reviewer who didn't even trash her book. They were just like, it's not 5 stars or whatever, or they had an honest critique of it. And I don't know who it was, but if you watch the video, like I said, you can see it because she put screenshots on the screen so you can read it for yourself. But in that message that she had, or the dialogue that Tara had with this other reviewer, the reviewer was like, this is art, and once you put it out in the world, it is no longer yours, and it's meant to be critiqued, and it's meant to be thought about, and it's meant to, get people to have discussions. And they were like, I think the characters in your book are going to force people to have discussions, which I think is a good thing, but you basically don't get to tell people how to have those discussions. And
Right.
as an author, I think that's the part that so many people are missing, because like for me, for sure, I wrote my book with a specific intent in mind, right? But it's also like, if people don't take it that way, however they perceive it is how they perceive it. It's art, you know? Some people may look at paintings and be like, this is the most beautiful thing ever. And then other people will look at it and be like, I don't see the hype about it. You know? That's just how it is.
Absolutely. And I think that um, it's a matter of finding people that you feel like you can talk to, because maybe that's what it is not feeling like they can talk to anybody. And the reason why we're distinguishing author friends from your regular friends is because sometimes they'll coincide, right?
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. Allergies, girl. Sometimes they'll coincide. Sometimes you'll have author friends who become your real friends you can talk to about everything, like you and I. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you just have people that you only go to for other problems. But the thing about it is that I can't talk to every single friend I have about authoring because they don't understand. They're not all authors, they're not in the thick of it. So, having people who are in the game with you, who understand what it is when you get a 1-star review, when you get a 5-star review, when you get rejected from maybe trying to do an interview, or you're trying to query for so long and you get rejected, or you're trying to self-publish and you get, a message from Amazon that your cover's been rejected because of the bleed or whatever. Like,
Mm-hmm.
people who've been in the game and can
Understand the
get you
frustration.
together, yeah, in a way that your mom, who maybe isn't self-publishing, kind of can't.
Yeah. And that's kind of the big thing that I feel like. So I feel like that's an important part of being an author that some of us miss, because it is a very solitary, cannot talk, solitary endeavor, especially in the beginning. Thank you. um but yeah, and it's hard to make author friends, especially when you are new to the community, or you're not sure how to, because I'm an introvert. I always make that perfectly clear, and like interacting with people is difficult sometimes, especially when you're trying to figure out who on the internet you can trust, because s- s- some spaces are not safe spaces the way that you want them to be. And it's
Yeah.
important to figure that out and like kind of like suss that out. And that in and of itself is its own unique challenge, but I feel like it's a necessary aspect of doing this. That way you're not out here fumbling your bag, you being like shooting yourself in the foot, making sure that nobody ever buys your book ever again. It's just, I don't know. Cause even like in my mind, I'm literally confused because I'm like, what was she hoping to gain from responding to reviewers like this? Like, what did you think was going to happen? Did you think they were going to be like, okay, or oh, look at her, she's defending her work, she's so passionate about it, or this work is so good because she says it's 5 stars because she wrote it, so let me go read it. Like, I'm confused as to what the outcome of this was supposed to be. And it kind of goes back to the conversation that we had earlier, where it was like
Right.
the other author who's brand new, who was insulting like the entire urban fiction community. It's just kind of like same thing. Like, homie, you need some author friends who can tell you that this is not it. This is not the way
Right.
to go. Veer left, heart left, U-turn. Okay, this is not the right direction.
Right, because not everybody benefits from having a PR team. Obviously, I'm not trad, so I can't speak on whether or not uh, traditionally published authors get a PR team, or for how long, or what extent uh, uh, their coaching is with a
Mhm.
PR team. But when you're self-published, baby, you're on your own. And unless you are a PR person, your partner is a PR person, you've worked with PR people. Most don't have the kind of media training or um, kind of skill set to be able to navigate these types of situations. And I think that that's another kind of important part of it, right? Of being an author is realizing, especially when you're self-published, that you are the whole package, baby. You're the talent and the manager,
Yep.
and you
It
have to shift your hats depending on what you're dealing with, and having friends in your corner can help be that therapist for you in that moment when you can't get to your therapist because you got to make an appointment. And when you're just like, the amount of times that Chelsea and I have messaged each other, like, this person just said this about my book in the beta process, or I just got this edit, or um, I got this review, or even just the extent of your uh, self-doubt,
mhm.
right? I think we as authors share that on main in kind of a cheeky way, and sometimes in a real talk way, but you don't want every single post of yours to be like, I doubt myself,
Right.
I don't know what I'm doing, because then nobody's going to read your book. They're going to be like, if you don't believe in you, why should I?
Exactly. And I think I think the key the important part for me is just the fact that with you, like you and I, we our friendship is set up so that it's just like I can come to you with that and I can trust you that you're not gonna go and post about me or quote unquote subtweet me. Is that even a thing? Do people still do that? Whatever. Subtweet me on Twitter or make some really vague post talking about the things that I share with you, to the point where it's just like, okay, this isn't a safe space, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like all of those things are weird, or like you are going to have negative experiences in anything that you do, right? Especially when you're talking about creating art. And having to deal with it and face it by yourself is an unrealistic expectation if you're wanting to be successful. But that being said, do you have any tips for finding your author community, Amanda?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I know we're talking about you need one, you need one, you need one, but
Mm-hmm.
how would you go about finding one?
Well, I started I started my publishing journey 20 when I really started actively working on it was about 2019, right?
Mhm,
And the first thing I did was just join a bunch of Facebook groups that were dedicated to writing, and specifically ones that were for BIPOC and then more specifically Black authors. And
mhm,
then I kind of consistently narrowed that niche until I found, Black women authors in sci-fi. That was kind of one of the first groups that I joined. Um, and whether or not you're still on Facebook is it, you know,
mm,
the groups can be helpful, but the first thing you do is you just start engaging, right? Social media is a good place to start. Instagram or Twitter, just start following authors, start engaging with them, start any kind of conversation you can with them, um, and just ask questions.
mhm,
And then eventually you'll build rapport, whether you're in these groups or not. Uh, it started with, hey, I'm working on this edit. What do you think? Hey, can I share with you my title idea? Does anybody have any experience with finding a designer? And not only do you put the questions out there, but you answer other people's questions, right? Because nobody likes somebody who's only
one-sided.
uh, one sided. And then you start to build rapport. You start to read other people's writing, and then you start to make friends with folks. It does require a bit of putting yourself out there in the world, and I know that for a lot of introverts that can be difficult, but you have to do it, I think, if
Mhm,
you want to be a part of this business. So turning to social media, following authors is really kind of where I would start. Now, the other side of that is recognize that just because you want community doesn't mean you belong in every community. Like you said, not every community is a safe space. Um, and that's beyond the specificity of, when you have a marginalized identity, whether you are Black, whether you are a Black woman, whether you're queer, whether you're disabled, whatever, right? Like those intersectionalities may or may not mean that you can be in every space. You
mhm,
might not be in a space that's queer friendly, and then you have somebody that is just not down for the cause, if you will, and you have to leave that space. So be prepared that you might enter a space and have to leave a couple of them until you find the actual security of an author community that you need. And then once you do, it'll be great. Listen to your intuition. If a space that you're in makes you anxious, it's not worth it. Nothing's worth your peace.
yeah,
Just because you need a community doesn't mean you need to be in a community that makes you feel like shit.
yeah.
Um, that's my
And
advice.
I agree with all of
Mm-hmm.
that, and I would also say, if you are an introvert, don't feel like you have to combine all aspects of your life. So, like, if
Mm-hmm.
you have social media and it's your personal one, don't be afraid to make one for your author
That
profile
part, yeah.
and just have it be that, so that if you do start to feel anxious, you do start to feel overwhelmed, you can give that a break without feeling like you have to disconnect as a whole, you know? And also, I would say don't be afraid to ask, because for me, I didn't do Facebook because that's just not my thing. But there are usually people, if you follow them, a lot of people will be like, oh, I want to start a group, or oh, I want to do this. And, just being like, when people ask, like, would anybody be interested? If you are, don't wait for someone else to be like, oh, I would be, and for the thing to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Let them know, be like, yes, I would be interested in this. And for specifically for Black creators, don't be afraid to ask people, because, like, for example, I I run the Melanin Network, right? It is a Discord server for Black authors, specifically ones who write fiction. And it is a closed server. You cannot get in unless I invite you. The reason for
Mm-hmm.
that being is like, it's like I said, a safe space. And it's not to be like everyone's not invited. It's to be like, this is just so that people who would come in and try to abuse the space are not given that opportunity to do so. Because as you go around the internet, you're going to find that a lot of spaces, some of them start strong and then some of them die. And then some of them just turn
Mm-hmm.
into basically spamming people with their books or whatever.
Right.
Just like, here's my link for today. Here's my link for today, and you're not actually able to connect to anyone.
Mm-hmm.
So
Or they can be really clicky. And then
yes,
it starts to feel like high school, which is that other part of if you no longer feel comfortable in a space, it's okay to eventually leave it.
yes. Remember that you're an adult. And even I say this, even if you are not an adult, even if you're 15, 16, 14, and you're looking for a community, act like an adult because you have the autonomy to leave whatever space that you don't want to be a part of. And that is the beautiful thing about the internet. You can dismiss yourself from any group chat, from any Discord server, from any whatever that you don't want to be a part of. You don't
Mm-hmm.
have to just put up with it. And there are enough people that you can find other people to be in a group with. Because I can say for sure that until I found my community, I was in a bunch of wrong ones where it's just like it sounded like a good idea, but it wasn't what I needed to be successful because like Amanda said, sometimes you have a question and if you feel like you're dropping questions and nobody is responding to them, that's probably not where you need to be. Or if you're in a community and you know that you're writing, I don't know, like high fantasy and you're in a group of journalists, like yes, they may be black writers and they may, respect what you're doing, but the questions in the community is not going to be the same because a journalist doesn't go through the same hoops that a fiction author has to go through.
Right. Yep.
And it's also different between being in a group of people who are traditionally published, if you're trying to be indie or self published, or vice versa. You're in a group with indie and self published authors who are doing everything themselves, and you want to go the traditional route because that process of querying, their people view that process differently. So finding people who will empathize with your process and with what you're trying to do, but also surrounding yourself with people that you can like build with and around,
Mm-hmm.
because as you grow, ideally you want people who are also going to be growing their platforms alongside you. And what I mean by that is like if you know for a fact that you have a plan in your head, you're like, in the next 5 years, this is going to be my sole source of income. Like I'm going to put in the work to make this happen. There's nothing wrong with that. But also be mindful if you're surrounding yourself by hobbyists who are like, well, I have a full time job and I'm not ever looking to make this my full time income. This is just something I do for fun. This is just something I do on the side. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. Both routes are valid. But if you're trying to get to a point where you're like, this is this is going to be my full-time job. Like I want to be a full-time author. The level of work and sometimes, not always, but sometimes the level of quality that you put into it is going to be different from someone who's just doing it as a hobby. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So being not being afraid to get to know people and knowing for yourself like, okay, this is a good space to be in versus, okay, I like these people, but this may not be the best community for me to actually grow in.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's also having the right intentions and expectations and reciprocity. Don't
Hmm.
just be the person asking questions and, oh, I need this, I need that. Like, be there for other people as well. And that's how you will build a friendship.
Hmm.
And again, kind of going back to whys, because you need to be able to vent, you need to be able to ask advice, you need to be able to do all of these things
And you also need people
because
who are going to help promote your stuff because when
that
you
part
come
too.
when you come out, the worst feeling is when you are trying to put something out and the people who you thought would support you because you've supported them, they fall through. So, and it can be simple things like, posting an image to Instagram or retweeting something or, whatever it is that you need them to do. If having people who are going to be willing to do it is super super important. So,
Mm-hmm.
also throwing that out there. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, yeah, no, that's another good point too. So that's another reason why you need an author community is because they are not only there for advice, but they're there to help promote you. Because as we know, word of mouth is still key. It is still crucial to success, especially when you're an indie author. And word of mouth on the internet is kind of the currency that we're, I don't want to say living and dying by, but it's a currency that we're using. And the more people that you can have help promote your book, like the street team, as they say, the
Mhm.
better your release might be. Maybe you have a lull in sales that can help bring some life to it. So you're not the only one just shouting, hey, I wrote a book on the internet. Having other people share it can help, you know, lend some
Exponentially.
cachet,
Credi-
validity. You know what I'm trying to
credibility
say.
to it, maybe.
Yeah, so you're not just so it's not just like, oh well, there she go promoting her book again. There's other people doing it too.
Yeah, it's all about balance, and it's also about checking in on people in genuine connection because, kind of like we said, this could be a very
Hey girl.
lonely thing. Oh, thank
Look at you.
you.
Compliments left, right, and center. We love
I
it.
appreciate it, y'all. It's been it makes me feel good. Okay. Okay. Got distracted. Got distracted. um the point of what I was trying to say is that being an author can be a lonely thing if you let it be. It it is it is. So slight deviation, but I did not realize that my hair was the same color as my book cover until I made a TikTok about it, y'all. I'm so slow. I'm so slow. I just got it because green is my favorite color, and I was like, I just want something fun for the summer. And so I was like, let's do green. It was going to be green, blue, and well, it was not going to be pink. It was not going to be pink because I do not look good in pink. But it was going to be like green or blue or something. And she had green in the salon, so I was like, let's do it. So I didn't even realize it until I got home and was making a TikTok about it that it matched my book cover. So I'm slow. I'm slow. But free advertisement. Get my book if you like the color.
You don't.
Yeah. I don't know. I would love to know y'all's take if y'all are watching this. What do y'all think about author community? Because I know some of you are also it wasn't truly I just needed something different. I needed a haircut. Y'all saw how rough I was looking on these chats. I needed a haircut and I just wanted some color because I haven't had my hair colored in a really long time. This was the first time I went to a salon in like years since before the pandemic because I was like, you know what? I don't have time to be in somebody's chair with their hands and their face all up in my face with this pandemic happening. So nah, nah. But I went and it was a really good experience. But this is not what we were talking about, y'all. I'm so sorry.
Hey, it's cool. It's family. This is our author community. We're talking about a variety of different things. Yeah, I mean, man, I'm sure we've all had those moments because whenever I see these authors uh, saying or doing something, my first thought is, "Where is your community? Couldn't you put this in the group chat? Couldn't
It's
you
like,
talk
did
to your
someone tell
therapist
you
about
not to
this?
do this?
Did somebody tell you that this was not a good idea? You
Yeah.
know, because you don't want to wait till after the fact for then somebody to see it and say, this ain't it. But that's also, I think, where it comes to finding the right community and having trust, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
another key part of it. If you don't trust that the people in your corner genuinely want to see you win and succeed and are not jealous and are not giving you lip service of, oh, you're cute or whatever, but then behind your back, they're just like, this girl, and so maybe you do go to them and they're like, no, yeah, girl, just talk to her. Talk to that reader. Talk to that reviewer. That's not good advice. you
It's
know?
really not. It's really not. This part, call your mama, okay?
Yes.
Call somebody if you need to vent, call somebody you can gossip with, but the internet is not the place.
Right. I don't, you know, I have a complicated relationship with my mom. I've tried to talk to her about these things, and she just kind of is like, what's that got to do with me? So if you are in
I
that situation,
I am
even
the
more
type of
reason to have a
person where
community.
I'm the type of person where I will call my mom, but I will leave out all the relevant information. So I'll be like, "Mom, let me tell you about this person." And I'll be like, "What you need to know. This is the relevant part of this is the relevant part of the conversation. It's like I'm upset because this person did X, Y, and Z, and I need you to be upset with me." And she'd be like, "Okay, I got you." She has no idea what I'm talking about. She has no idea why I'm upset. She's just like, you know what? They was wrong. They shouldn't have done that. Why they do that? You know what? Do you need me to come up there and handle it? I'm like, Mom, they're not even here. It's fine. It's fine. I got
You're
you.
like, they're
Nobody
in
messing with my
they're
baby.
they're in Canada, but I appreciate the
Right.
effort.
Right. They're in
Yeah.
Japan, but it's cool.
Right. Like, so yeah, having that community, having your mom as your community, but yeah, like making sure you have people you can genuinely trust that
Mhm.
will give you honesty, that will uh hey, your feelings are valid, but also will tell you if maybe you're in the wrong, because that's the other side too. Sometimes we as humans are wrong.
Yep.
Wait, this is my camera. Sometimes we as humans are wrong. And we have to have people in our corner that will be honest with us and not necessarily shade us, not necessarily read us if we don't need it, but that will just say, "Hey, don't do this." You
Mm-hmm.
know, hey, I know that you might be having some self-doubt, but don't post that video where you're crying at 2 in the morning eating ice cream saying you're going to give it all up. You know what I mean? Maybe just write in your diary.
And that's the thing.
Schedule some better help. You know what I'm saying?
You should, and also, if you don't mind, I would love to share some things because I'd be thinking about some things, and I'm just like, you know what? Maybe you should have did this tomorrow after you thought about it, because posting in your emotions is never a good idea. Like, and I
Mhm.
understand there are some times where you're just like, okay, people aren't going to talk to me crazy, but I know, like for me, when I see something, I'm just kind of like, you know what? I'm not going to respond to this right now. I'm going to wait a day or two or a week, and we'll come back to this when it's not such a visceral reaction, and that takes a little bit of self restraint and self control. But I feel like this is such a weird analogy because y'all know I hate working for other people, and that did not work out well for anybody involved, right? But honestly, to a certain extent, when you're an author, you should really be treating the internet like it's your job. And it's just like if you wouldn't go to a physical setting and respond to people a certain way, you should not go on the internet and respond to people a certain way. Like, yes, you have the freedom. No, there's no
Mhm.
one there to stop you, but that doesn't make it a good idea, especially if you're trying to build a brand. Because I know for me, for Written in Melanin, I respond to everything with positivity. It's just like, oh, I was wrong. Okay, thank you for letting me know. Moving on, and it's perfectly fine to not engage. I know people don't say this anymore, but I know like in the early, 2015, 2014, 15, 16-ish era of the internet, it was just like, don't feed the trolls. Right. And I feel like more people need to hear that because it's just like there are some people out on this internet who are really just out here to make you upset. If you don't engage with them, they have nothing to feed off of.
Right.
If you don't respond to them, they have no screenshots to reply to, because so I don't know, was it last year, 2020, Black History Month, right?
Mhm.
Um, there was a white woman who put out a book that had two Black characters on it, right? And I'm not dramatic, y'all. I was not trying to start drama. I was just like, hey, this is the first day of Black History Month. This book is going around. I just need y'all to know that I have not read this book, but if you're looking to support a Black author, this book was not written by a Black author. And then people were just really upset. And fast forward, the book ended up being taken down. And the woman ended up like shutting down her website. She went back to her other pen name. And then her friend hopped in my DMs or whatever to be like, well, you're wrong for doing this. And you shouldn't have done this. And da 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 da. And she wrote a book and she worked really hard. She went off. in my mentions. And I was just like, I didn't do anything. I just pointed out that she's not a Black author, and this is the first day of Black History Month. I didn't say the book was bad. I didn't say that she should take it down. I was just letting people know so that they wanted to support a Black author during Black History Month. They weren't. That's it. She did everything else was completely on her. And then people who I had, again, I don't send people after people, but then people started responding to her being like, well, you're wrong too for defending her, because screenshots came out. This is why I say you need a safe community, because screenshots came out of their private Facebook community where they were talking about everything that was going on and basically trashing Black authors and the Black reading community. And when that came out, basically all of them took their accounts private. And then she sent me this long email on my contact form on my website trying to explain herself or whatever, because she
The
was starting,
author or the friend?
the friend, because she was starting to get pushback for defending the author or whatever. And she sent this, I still have it in my inbox too. And it was just like this long email trying to explain what was happening or whatever. And it was just like, I could, but then some of the stuff she said was really just like, you know what? Let me sit you down and inform you real quick. But then I'm glad that I had an author community. I had friends. I had my husband, because they were like, don't respond. Because once you put it in text, once it's in writing, once you press send, it is now available to be screenshotted, shared, and nothing is private anymore. Just like I'm sure she thought her Facebook group, where it was just like her and like 6 other people, was a safe space in private, and those screenshots still ended up on the internet. It's just like, you have to be really mindful that once you press send, once it is in writing, it is everywhere for people to see. And people don't forget. And I think that's the thing that is wild to me. Like, as a writer, you understand how lasting words are, and then for you to come on the internet and act crazy, the math ain't mathing, the words ain't wording. Why are we doing this? you know that was kind of a
Yeah.
rant, but the point is, you need someone to stop you sometime. Procrastination
Yeah.
is your friend.
And you need somebody who, if you're going to write or respond, if it is a situation where you do feel like, I need to say something, I need to speak up for myself, I need to set this boundary, whatever, having people to who can read what you are planning to write is also
Mhm.
helpful, because they can give you that outside perspective. Once again, people who are authors, who are in the game, who can say, maybe don't use this word, maybe, phrase this differently, whatever. Because I think at some point there is going to be a moment where one might have to defend themselves or
Mhm.
respond to something. But I think that's also part of the emotion, having emotional intelligence. Doesn't matter what age you are, having that emotional intelligence to understand yourself, understand what triggers you, understand when you should say something, when you shouldn't, um, and understand what you need to separate yourself from.
Mhm.
Like, I know for me, it is active self harm for me to read reviews.
Mhm.
Like, that sounds extreme, but I don't read my reviews. If I'm tagged in it, I'll glance at it, but I don't go out of my way to read reviews. I don't post reviews anymore, because when I was getting those reviews from people who were actively saying they would never read anything I wrote again, it was hurtful. And I went to my group chat, messaged them. Obviously, we had a bit of a kiki where they were like, "So who I got to fight today? Like, let me take
Mhm.
these earrings off." But it was all in jest. But it made me feel good knowing it had people in my corner who were lifting me up and saying, "Hey, like, this happens to the best of us. These one-star reviews might actually compel people to want to read your book even more, to see what this is all about." So having those people to give you that perspective, who have been there, was
Mhm.
really helpful to me. And then I realized, this is where the emotional intelligence came in. Okay, it is not serving me to consistently be reading reviews. I don't feel good. even a 5-star review doesn't necessarily make me feel good, because then I'm like constantly seeking it out and obsessively reading and rereading. Who cares? Like, once my book is out in the world, it is no longer mine, solely mine. It belongs to people. They're going to
Mm-hmm.
have opinions, whatever, but it serves me, like, does not serve me at all to continuously put myself in that harm, because then it's like self-sabotage, and I'm not about that life.
You
See,
can't be. You absolutely can't be. I've
you would
had
think
authors.
that authors would know it's not what you say, how you say it. Plus, reading comprehension skills are key. Also, actually listening and learning, aka moving inside all of this. All of this. Yes.
Truly. And honestly, what's wild is I think a lot of people in this coming generation lack that um, context clues type. How do I put it? That reading comprehension and context aspect of things, because people will take things out of context because they're so used to reading things out of context. Like they're not going to read the
Mm-hmm.
whole thread. They're going to take the one tweet in a 20 tweet thread that applies and then run with it out of context, you know? And that's just kind of the age that we live in. So it's just kind of like, for me, my personal philosophy is that if I can't respond with a single tweet, if I can't respond in a single comment, then I don't need to respond at all. I don't, if
Right.
I can't get my point across without having to read a book, that means that whatever I'm trying to say is not concise enough, because pretty much any response in my experience can be boiled down to what gets the point. What is the point? Am I saying I'm wrong and I'm sorry? Am I saying I appreciate you for commenting and moving on? Am I ignoring it completely? Like, I feel like so much time is given to trying to justify things that people don't are never going to pay attention to. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? Like they don't care why you did something. They don't care about why your reason is what it is. They're just kind of like, this is what you said, and therefore this is what I receive. Everything
Right.
else is just forgotten. And
And
that's why I
there are,
think, oh, go ahead.
yeah, there are going to be people who are committed to just misunderstanding you, right? Like, no matter
Mhm.
what you say, how you say it, no matter how many times you come through with receipts, there are just going to be people who are just, they they don't give a shit. We can cuss now. See, they don't give a shit what you have to say, because maybe they don't, like, vibe with you like that, and that's okay. But that's why being reactionary on the internet.
It's not a good idea.
Take a screenshot of what somebody says. I can't even tell you how many times. Screenshot what somebody says, send it to the group chat. Did you see this? Have you seen this shit? You seen this
Y'all see
shit?
this? Literally, literally. Screenshot. Y'all see this? Huh? And like I said, having somebody that you can trust, and it doesn't have to be a lot of people. Truly, it doesn't. We say community, but your community does not have to be, 1,000 people strong. I recommend having a small
Mm-hmm.
community, because the smaller your community is, the better you know people and the more you can trust them. And the more you know who has your, not who has your back essentially, but truly who has your back, who is there for you, who is trying to support you, and who is just along to catch your momentum and catch
Right.
your what is it,
Ride
uh
your coattails.
yeah, ride your coattails, because some
Right.
people are going to be like that, and there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody has a place in this system that we call life, right? And everybody is not going to be your bestest friend who you can talk to about everything, and that's okay. But also, it's just kind of like, when you have that community and you could just be like, okay, because I'll be honest, I appreciate my editor, right? But when I tell y'all that I was DMing Amanda, like, okay, I, I have feelings, okay, and I need you to let me know if this is accurate or if I'm just being upset right now,
Right.
right? And when I tell y'all, it's so nice to have someone to be like, okay, I see why you might feel this way, but, or nah, you right. I would ignore this one. Having someone to
Right.
like temper it who's not like directly connected, because obviously Amanda loves me because I'm a lovable person, but also having someone who is also an author who understands that the process of going through editing and understanding that you need objectivity, but also it can be kind of rough with your when your personal feelings are involved and someone is telling you to change things. It's like
Mm-hmm.
having someone who cares about you as a person and as an author, but also as like a person, you know? It it helps. You need that sometimes. You really, really do. Because when it's just you, and the thing is, I can say this because I know that I also have a community outside of my author friends. I have a super supportive husband. And even he'll be like, I don't know. Or he'll be like, he'll give his opinion, but it feels different because he's not an author. He loves me, he loves my work, but also he's not an author. He's never been through the process. And there are some things that it just, as much as he wants to, it's not the same thing, you know?
Right. Yeah,
So,
and that's the other thing too, is that, like, having that objective opinion will help you, because if you were to take your feelings about this editor's feedback onto the internet,
but never.
maybe he follows you, maybe he sees, maybe he takes exception, maybe suddenly he's in your DMs cussing you out, maybe he's sending, his followers in a Twitter war, like, well, I guess some authors aren't grateful, whatever, maybe it escalates, and
Mm-hmm.
it could have just been avoided by bitching in your group chat about what
Truly.
happens, and then putting on a face of, and I think some people will think, um you have those people who just feel like, well, I always have to say something, I have to clap back because I'm real, I'm not a coward, I'm not fake, so I'm not just gonna act like everything's cool when things aren't cool, I have to say something. And I guess, to me, that feels very early 2000s. Like, that's kind of a mindset we should have left back then, because to me it is not fake to understand, as KJ says, a time and a place. It's
The
not
time.
fake to also choose your personal peace over feeling like you have to respond to somebody, because you don't owe anybody a response. You don't owe anybody anything. They don't owe you anything. All you have control over is yourself, the way you react to something, and the energy and the things you put out in the world. Like, I constantly have to remind myself that I'm not responsible for other people's emotions. I'm not responsible for other people's actions. I'm only responsible for what I can do. So, like I said, I have 5 siblings. At some point, we're all pissed at each other. Like, and inevitably, I get a call from one or two of them. Monique did this bitch. Like, at some
Mm-hmm.
point, you know what I mean? And that's just what it is when you have a gaggle of siblings. But I have to remind myself, like, I'm not responsible for their emotions. I'm not responsible for managing how they interact with each other, how they react to things. And I think that that's when you are somebody who maybe has anxiety or who has had people pleasing tendencies, that can be a harsh reminder, because you want to manage, you want to control the situation around you so that your anxiety isn't on 10.
Yeah.
Because if people around you are mad, then your anxiety is on 10, and you want to solve and fix things so that you cannot be anxious. But ultimately, you can't control these other people.
You really can't. And that's why I have two mottos in life.
It's
And
also,
um it is, the first one is I mind my business. Meaning if it's my, I can't control, like I said, I can't control what other people do. I can only mind my business. I can only control my actions. I can only control my reactions. I can only control what I do. Right? My second motto is it's not none of my business. So if I mind my business and it's not none of my business, guess what? I'm staying in my lane. Okay? Like I can't, and I had to learn that very early on. It's just like because I like to help people. That's like my Achilles heel. I want to be useful, not
mm-hmm.
useful. I want to be helpful to people. If I can support someone in some way, I want to be able to do that for people. But also learning that that kind of mindset can become very cliquish very fast. And it's just like I'm not about that life. I'm not trying to form cliques. I'm not trying to be a part of one. I just want to be helpful and supportive to people, but not to the extent that it's detrimental to myself or my well being or anything like that. So it's just kind of like learning to like navigate that fine line between I want to help you, but also I have to take a step back, you know? It's just like I
Mm-hmm.
support you. I'm here if you need something like actionable, like if there's something I can actually do to help you, let me know. But otherwise, it's just like, look, this is my little box, this is my square that I built for myself. It's nice, neat, clean, and organized. Okay. I cannot let your chaos into it to mess things up, you know? And that
Mm-hmm.
in and of itself can be really rough, really rough, especially when
Right.
you know that you want to, but it's like you said, you have to protect your peace and your well being, and
Mm-hmm.
it can be
And the
wild
right
sometimes.
and the right community will help you remember that, right?
Hmm.
Especially if you, as you get to know them and you become friends, the right community can help you remind you of, hey, like this is not going to serve you. I, I think some like one of the most impactful questions somebody could ask you when you're in the throes of that is like, how will responding make you feel?
Yeah.
Will responding make you feel better?
Yep.
And it kind of forces you to really think about, you know, okay, how the because see for me, it's very similar to you, but I especially when I'm scrolling, when I'm on social and I see something that might trigger me, it's generally that ain't got nothing to do with me. It's, what I have to say in my head. I should have told myself this when I saw this thread that went viral on Twitter about this super biphobic woman talking about how biphobia doesn't exist and how maybe it's not biphobia, maybe it's just you need to stop bringing your lame straight boyfriend along with you into queer spaces. You know, it's not that we don't like you as a bisexual person, it's that your boyfriend's lame and, you know, maybe you just need to date a cooler person, i.e., a woman, right? Because I swear I'm going to connect this back to it. But when a lot of times people feel when a woman says she's bisexual, it's that she's a straight girl trying to be different for the male gaze, trying to say, oh, I'm bisexual to get men to be interested in her because then they'll think, oh, well, I can check out chicks around her and she'll be cool. And then when men are bisexual, it's this idea of like, well, they're secretly gay. And I don't want to no parts of that because, you know, he's just secretly gay and he's gonna cheat on me with a man or whatever, you know? So I should have said, this ain't got nothing to do with me. And mentally been like, well, fuck you, lady, and then scrolled by. But I got lost in the comments. I got lost in these threads, and it made me feel like shit. And that was definitely a moment where I didn't use my emotional intelligence and my community to have my back and be like, this person's stupid
She
and
sounds
they're
stupid.
dumb. Thankfully, the internet gathered her, and I haven't seen a post from her since, which is hilarious. But,
I'm
you
just
know, if
kind of
you live
like,
by that, that ain't got nothing to do with me and keep scrolling,
okay, and
it'll
I
make you
know
feel
we're
better.
not talking about this, but I'm just kind of like stuff like that confuses me because I'm like, people are people, and if a person was going to cheat on you, they were going to cheat on you regardless of the type of the person that they were cheating on you with, whether they were a man or woman or anything or nothing in between. Like they were going to cheat on you regardless. You know, some people they were if they didn't want to be with you, they were going to leave. It doesn't even have to be cheating. Like so you assigning these arbitrary traits to people based on their sexuality, like that's just weird. Does that not sound weird to you? Like that's like saying like because you like tomatoes, you must be a farmer. Like does that not sound absolutely insane to you? I don't know. I don't know. Like these are just weird traits to assign to people. Like you have to be unfaithful because you're bisexual or you're pansexual or you're anything. Like what? What?
Right.
Do you realize how many straight men are also like just absolute garbage? How many straight women are just like absolute garbage who cheat on people all the time? That
And
has nothing to do
how,
with sexuality.
right. And how by automatically assuming that this person is with a straight man, you are excluding bi men because what if it's two bi people in a relationship, right? What if they're both bi or they're both pan or one is trans, right? And is non binary.
But also it becomes this thing of like, how is that your business? Like you're not this person and you're not dating that person. So like how does that even relate to you in your life? That's why I said it's not none of my business and I'm my business. Ain't got nothing to do with ain't got nothing to do with me. Like
Right.
that's between you and your partner. Like that, okay, as long as you're not being abusive, ain't got nothing to do with me. Like you want to swing off on somebody, then okay, look, ma'am, sir, I need y'all to stop. At least not here, okay? Okay. But other than that, that's between y'all, you know? And even
Right.
then, if you
And
swing off on somebody, I'm not the one because I don't break up fights. I didn't break up fights when I was a teacher either. Don't start, no, won't be none. That's my that's
a black
my motto.
proverb, honestly. And that's the other thing too, right? Is just save it for the group chat. Talk about it in the group chat. I'm sure that the people that are around her probably either share the same view, or if they don't, would have gotten her together like, you're stupid. This is really dumb. And I can't believe that you think this. Because how many times have we also, like I said, determining the right group for you, there have been multiple times where I've been in a group, somebody has said something, right? Been very like supportive of JK, what's her face, finish the rest. And then I'm just like, oh,
Colors have
I'm
been
gonna head
shown.
out. I'm gonna head out. Leave the group, you
Like,
know?
I'm going to go.
So being discerning and finding the right group is essential, because it'll change your life,
It really
build you
will.
up, put you on the path for success.
Or destruction if you don't find the right one. So be mindful out there, kids. Be careful out there in the streets. Wear a jacket. Or what's the thing from Boy Meets World? Life's tough. Get a helmet. There you go.
Wow, I feel like there's no other way we can end this. We can't go on after that. But before we do log off, we'd love to know any of y'all's thoughts on this. If you have anything you'd like to add, if you have any questions for us, we do have a couple more minutes. It is Saturday. I just have to go to the grocery store and then sunbathe with my time today. So if y'all have any questions, comments in the next couple minutes as we're wrapping this up, feel free to drop them in the chat. And as always, thanks for tuning in. We hope this has been helpful. It's been a lot of vibes.
Indeed.
Love to see it. So as we're wrapping this up, Chelsea,
Amanda.
tell everybody what's up. Tell everybody what's going on with the book and the hair, and a happy Saturday. And I think y'all said it all. Thank you, Daisha.
Thank you. So book comes out in 10 days. So on the 21st. So super excited. The books have been ordered. So everyone who did a physical pre-order, it is on the way. And I've spent most of today getting stuff together because things close early on Saturday, but this was the only day I had to get things done. So I did a lot of running around, but the books have been ordered, the mailers have been purchased, and the postcards have been ordered. So if you did order, the extra goodies have been purchased to be sent out. And I'm trying to think. My hair is green, so I'll be all cute for the release. I have new author photos coming up. Everything has been formatted and uploaded. So if you see this now or in the future, please feel free to request We Are the Origin at your local library to see if they will carry it. And yep. And I am seriously going to do a competition. So if you guys are into anime, then there are several anime references in my book. So I'm going to be holding a competition for people to win signed copies of the second book once it's available. And that's pretty much it. So if you guys want to know and keep up with me, then you can follow me on Twitter and TikTok at C Lockhart Write. It's just C Lockhart Write, WRITE. Or you can go check out my channel, which is Written in Melanin. I'm there every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Melanin Chat. And I'm also starting to upload like little writing vlogs so that you guys can come on this journey with me. It is not my best editing work because the way my life is set up, if it's going to get done, it's got to be simple. But
it's good. I watched yours the other day. It was good.
Oh, thank you. But yeah, So if you're into that, I'm there, but I'm rambling. Thanks for having me on the show, Amanda. I love doing this with you. So yeah, that's it for me.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, obviously, I love having you on the show. We're friends. We're part of the same author community, as we have said. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Thanks for coming to my channel. As you can see, I am Amanda the Author with 2 E's. You can follow me on TikTok and Instagram at Amanda the Author with 2 E's if you don't already follow me, and Amanda the Author with 1 E on Twitter. My book, In the House of Transcendence, is in the works. It is currently with my editor. I am getting sketches back from my cover designer, and they are looking wonderful. The colors are great. The vibes are great. There's a skull and magnolias and a sexy woman on the front. Yes, I'm having a person on the cover this time. It is like different from my series. So I'm really excited about it. And I will be doing a reveal next month. So mark your calendars next month in July, probably late July. Y'all will see the cover and you'll be hopefully amazed. I don't want to talk big shit and not deliver, but hopefully you'll be amazed. But
I'm excited for it.
that's
I'm
up for
so
me.
excited.
I also will say a couple other things I'm involved in. I am involved in an anthology called Kindred Kingdoms. It is coming out actually August 25th. You can find the link in my bio, it's a link tree, but it's a short story anthology, epic fantasy, young adult. My short story is called Heads Will Roll. It is loosely based off of Alice in Wonderland, but kind of told from the Red Queen's perspective. So get into it. And like I said, you can find those links in my bio. I am also one half of the Horror Ho support group, book club, and podcast. We talk about horror, we read horror, we love horror. So if you want to get into it, you can find a link to an episode in my bio. That wraps it up for me. I'm gonna go have to be around people.
That sounds not fun.
But
yeah.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye, y'all.